Would everyone please rise to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Guanasso?
Here.
Here. Councilor Keefe?
Here.
Here. Councilor McKenna?
Here.
Here. Councilor Morabito? Here. Councilor Novoselsky? Here. Councilor Patch?
Here.
Here. Councilor Powers?
Here.
Here. Councilor Rizzo? Here. Councilor Rotundo? Here. Councilor Zambudo?
Here.
Here. And Council President Janino?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. Approval of the Journal of the regular meeting of February 26, 2018.
So moved.
Point of personal privilege, please.
State your point, Councilor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the following departments for their assistance in Ward 1 with the weekend storm. I'd like to thank the DPW who went above and beyond with their duties. Donnie Goodwin, I was on the phone with him for 3 days. Paul Agenzio, the Revere Fire Department, Chief Bright, Revere Police and Chief Guido, the DCR, the Water Department, and Joe Maglione. They were going into, I was calling them every high tide, and they were cleaning out the basins down there. National Grid and the Inspectional Service Department. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. On your point, Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to also thank DPW and the Revere Police and Fire Departments for the great job they did. Actually, they were down there yesterday moving a lot of the sand around on Rice Avenue and Mills Avenue. I was down there today, and there's still some residue left there. They're going to be going back down. I had spoken to the mayor on Saturday evening, and he assured me that this would be taken care of. Also, Saturday morning, we had occasion down on North Shore Road. There was a house down there that had a good percentage of the foundation washed away, and I made it a point to go down there with Joe Maglione and Donnie Goodwin, the fire chief, the police chief, and we deemed the house uninhabitable for that particular time. And the people were moved to the Comfort Inn, thanks to Bob Rapucci over at Capic. He was very helpful in that matter, and he deserves a word of thanks for doing that. And then again, down on Shawmut Street, at the corner of Shawmut and Neponset Street, there was a tremendous amount of water, as there normally is down there, and the water and sewer department were down there pumping that out, and Sunday morning they had that area completely dry, and I want to thank them. They did a great job, and they stood right up for the people of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Madam President,
Councilor McKenna.
Request to suspend the rules in order to take up the late communication from George Anzoni relative to the Police Superior Officer union contract.
On Councilor McKenna's motion, all in favor? All opposed?
It's noted Councilor Janino is recused from discussion on this matter.
Mr. Anzoni?
Yes. Thank you. And thank you for taking consideration, take me out of order. At this time, and before you, I've put in the Police Superior Officers contract, which was agreed upon by the Superior Officers Union and the Mayor of the city. The terms of the contract are basically from fiscal year 16 to 18, the first year, it would be 1.5% on July 1st, 2015, 1.5% on July 1st, 2016, and a 3% on July 1st, 2017. That contract would end on June 30th, 2018. This also includes a 3% increase to the salary as of the 16th year of service. And at this time, the What we're asking is the city council approve has already appropriated sufficient funds in reserve account to cover these salary adjustments, and the city council will be approving the expenditure of these funds. So if there are any questions.
Councilors?
Madam Chair, Madam President, just a question through you to George. Does that mean we have to start working on a new contract right away for them?
We pretty much have to start on all the unions. They have come due on July 1st, June 30th, 2018. So we have to
All
start.
the contracts?
All the contracts come due on June 30th, 2018.
For the whole city?
For the city side, not the school department side, but the city side, yes.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Councilor Keefe?
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Through you to George. I know it said that you've already accounted for the back pay
Yes,
to be funded via the budget,
yes.
so this won't create any additional
No, this will not
deficits?
create a deficit.
Right, and the police union has been working without a contract for 2 years?
Since July 1st, 2016, yes.
Almost 2 years, okay. Thank you.
Councilor
Actually,
Rizzo?
2015, excuse me, 2015.
Councilor Rizzo?
Thank you very much, Madam President. We're just getting this now, so I really haven't had a chance to look through it. I just have a question, and it's not a monetary question. It has to do with the assessment center process. Is this something new that's put into this contract as opposed to last time around, do you know?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, and how does that coincide with civil service? What is the differences between, are you familiar with what the differences might be between, I know you're only looking at the monetary side,
I'm only looking at the
pretty
monetary
much.
side,
So,
that's correct,
and again, it's not going to be something that's going to, if the union and the administration agree to it, there's
Right.
money there. I guess it's my curiosity that just wants to know, how this is going to differ in the normal promotional process. We're going to use an assessment center now if somebody's up for sergeant. Is that what I'm to understand here? And
Well, that's what
lieutenant?
it's,
And
I believe that's what's in the contract, yes. I'm not an interpreter of the contract, only the monetary side.
we need an assessment center for that?
Well, that's what the union agreed on, the med agree on. That's what they agreed on.
Okay. Just wanted to ask the question,
Okay.
George. I know
Right.
you're only looking at the figures, so I'm just kind of glancing through it now. So,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Rotundo?
As I said before, I won't be voting on anything of this nature until I get the information requisite that I asked for. I wanted to find out in the past about the assessment center, the questions that were asked in the past. More importantly, I'd like to know the findings of the top-to-bottom assessment that was done with the police department. Still haven't received it, so I'm not going to be voting on this. Thank you.
Councilor Patch?
Thank you, Madam Vice President. I was going to make a motion to vote on it tonight, and as far as my acknowledgement of the police department, I'm not too happy with item 7, assessment center for all promotions, but that's what the union voted for, and the mayor agreed on. So, I go with what the union wants. So I make a motion that we vote on it tonight. Thank you.
Your motion's on the table. Councilor Zambudo?
Thank you, Madam President, Madam Vice President. As my colleague to my right said, he just got this as I did, and I would rather digest some of the facts and leave this in committee for at least until the next council meeting, so we can go over the things we like and don't like, and and then make an informed decision. I'm certainly not prepared to vote on this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councilors? Okay, so there is a motion on the table by Councilor Patch to do a road call. So
the motion, so then I have a substitute motion, which is to leave it in committee. So the substitute motion, I believe, gets voted on first.
On Councilor Zambudo's substitute motion to have the memorandum of agreement between the city and the Police Superior Officers Association remain in committee. Counselor Guanasso?
No.
No. Counselor Keefe?
No.
No. Counselor McKenna?
No.
No. Counselor Morbido? No. No. Counselor Novoselsky?
No.
No. Counselor Patch?
No.
No. Counselor Powers?
No.
No. Counselor Rizzo?
No.
No. Counselor Rotundo? Yes. Counselor Zambudo?
Yes, I guess some of the votes I thought were there weren't there.
Yes, and Council President Janino. Oh, I'm sorry, she's recused. The substitute motion fails. The original motion is now on the floor. Shall the City Council approve the appropriation necessary to fund the memorandum of agreement between the city and the Police Superior Office Association covering the period July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2018? Counselor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Morbido.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Patch.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Powers.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Rizzo.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Rotundo. No. Counselor Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Gino is recused. The contract has been approved.
Very much.
Thank you. Thank you, councilors. Thank you.
On the suspension, Madam Vice President, hopes it does not prevail.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President McKenna. Madam Clerk, while we're under suspension, can we take up calendar item number 10?
Calendar item number 10 is a communication from the Election Commissioner requesting the Council's approval to move from the Point Pines Fire Station to the Point Pines Yacht Club.
Hi, good evening. The Point Pines Fire Station is no longer able to be used, so as such, we would like to move from the Point Pines Fire Station to the Point Pines Yacht Club.
Any councilors have any questions? Councilor Powers?
Thank you, Madam President. Being familiar with the station down there, it's my understanding, and through seeing it myself, there are large pieces of cement that have fallen off the parapets on the building, and I think that in itself causes an imminent danger to anyone walking in there, whether to vote in there or for any other reason. So I know that Diane has made arrangements with the Point of Pines Yacht Club.
Yes, sir.
And I think that that will be just as much a convenient area as in fact, you've got parking there too, which
Yes,
we don't have where we are. And I would ask my colleagues to approve this and allow the people in that end of Ward 5 to be able to go in and exercise their franchise. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Councilor Rizzo?
Thank you very much, Madam President. Just one quick question through you, Madam President. I'm just assuming, this may be somewhat rhetorical, but the residents of that area will get notification of where to vote, correct? They're going to get a separate mailer letting them know there's been a change in...
As per Mass General Law, Chapter 54, Section 24, yes. Yes. We'll also put signs on the Point of Pines Fire Station, if it's still there, to direct them in case they lose the card or forget about the move. So we'll put a lot of controls in place so that...
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilor Rotundo? No?
Well, I'm going to vote for it, so let's move
Councilor
forward.
Zambudo?
Thank you, Madam President. I'm sure, and I'm almost afraid to ask that you've taken all the precautions for security concerns over there, and you know exactly what's going to happen at the Point of Pines Club as to how you're going to set it up and
Yes.
and all
We had a
that.
site visit.
I knew I didn't have to ask you, but
January 25th.
my duty
Yes,
calls me
thank
to
you, sir.
ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call?
Shall the City Council approve the relocation of the Ward 5 Precinct 1 to the Point of Pines from the Point of Pines Fire Station to the Point of Pines Yacht Club? Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido? Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch? Yes. Yes. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotundo? Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes?
Yes. And Council President Gino?
Yes.
Yes, the
Thank you very
precinct
much.
relocation has been
Thank you.
approved.
This time we'll return to the regular order of business.
Calendar item, oh, sorry.
Good.
Calendar item number 3, Melissa Hamilton and Jennifer Kaur will address the City Council relative to Revere High School's volunteer service mission that will take students from Revere to Houston as they respond to the devastating impacts resulting from Hurricane Harvey.
Madam President?
Counselor?
If I may, just before they, they start, this was a conversation that we had, and I just want to give the council a little bit of a background on why I asked them to appear here this evening. We all know about Hurricane Harvey and the devastation that it left down in Houston, Texas, and the many, many families and many, many children and the many negative impacts that that community, that area had to withstand throughout that tragic storm. And so Ms. Hamilton and Ms. Kaur, along with 20 students, have taken it upon themselves through a capstone project to travel to Houston to help with Habitat for Humanity, to help tutoring kids that weren't able to get to school, to help at local food banks. And this is something that I think we should all be extremely proud of, that we have students like this and faculty like this that is willing to take on such an enormous challenge to help people who are in need. So I just want to first, congratulate them, and, hopefully you'll be able to get your message out to the larger community of what you're doing and how we can help. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Counselor Rotundo?
Thank you. Great job. You are the best of us. You are the most that we have to represent, and now you're going to do that in Texas for those that are needing it the most. You should all be very proud of yourselves, and we're very proud of you here in Revere, because the task that you have before you is great, and I know you can do it, and I want to thank you.
Counselor Zambudo?
Thank you, Madam President. This was brought to my attention by a few people, not the least of which is my dear friend Peter Felt. And I too want to, of course, congratulate you all for your efforts. But more importantly, I think one of the main reasons for being here is to get us all to pony up some money and help donate to this cause. So, I'm certainly going to pledge some money, and I'm hoping my colleagues and the citizens out there will help them to make this. Is there a GoFundMe page for this? Mm-hmm. So we can donate to that. So that's, again, thank you for your efforts, and we are truly proud of you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor McKenna?
Thank you, Madam President. I just would like to say, working with Melissa and Jen, wonderful, wonderful teachers, and you guys, I'm so proud of you for doing this. It's wonderful that you're volunteering and you're going, and we'll make sure that we all, I challenge my counselors all to at least give $50. Thank you.
Thank you. I have so much admiration for all of you for having the willingness to go, and it's a selfless act, so thank you to all of you. Not only are you setting an example as leaders and teachers and faculty, you're setting an example to the students, to your peers, and you're letting them know when someone's in need, you're there for them. So it's a very, very important task that you're doing, so thank you.
Open it up to you.
Well, I'd like to thank Mr. Rizzo and the rest of the council members for having us. I'm getting emotional, very proud of my senior advisory students. This was completely their idea and their initiative, and truly, I really am just an advisor to them when they have questions and direction and some options. So if it's okay with you, I'd really like to turn it over to two of our student representatives. And we also have a handout, if we could turn that over. Great, thank you.
Hi, my name is Iman Jossam. I'm a senior at Revere High School.
I'm Brian Gutierrez. I'm a senior at Revere High School as well.
We're part of two advisories at Revere High School that one day we were just sort of sitting around during the wake of Hurricane Harvey, and we were all devastated. It really hit the country in a great shock, and we just sat there and we didn't know what we could do. As people we don't really think that we have a hand in being able to help people, especially if you're not in the area. But we saw this as an opportunity to sort of actually get a little hands-on service and help people in need. And so it just started off as an idea. It started off as, why don't we start a donation fund for the victims of Hurricane Harvey? And then it turned into this crazy idea of, let's do a mission, a service mission to Texas and help out people there hands-on, because it's just so much more effective. And we wanted to seize the opportunity, and that's what we're trying to do.
All right, so like in total, it's 11 of us that want to travel with 3 teachers as chaperones. And however, we have 23 students involved. Not all of them want to go flying to Texas, but we have a lot of things that we're planning over here. We've done a lot of fundraisers. We've while in Texas, we want to partner with the Sioux Creek Elementary School. We've been in contact with them. It's a local elementary school, and they got hit really hard by the hurricane, and many schools shut down, so students all fell behind in their academics. And we're working to peer tutor and assist the teachers there. And we also want to help out with a Habitats for Humanity project and in a building project that they're going to have. And it's just for us to like get involved with food banks, helping rebuild and tutoring the kids.
We have had plenty of fundraisers, and we do plan on having a bunch more to try to raise money. So far, we've raised about like $4,000 from fundraisers. We've done a GoFundMe page. We've had Kelly's fundraiser in the Kelly's in Saugus. We've had fundraisers there. We have sent out a lot of sponsorship letters to local officials and companies all over Revere. We had a bake sale after school one day, and we're currently running a leprechaun fundraiser at RHS where we're choosing a bunch of teachers to dress up, and whoever like students raise the most money for, that teacher dresses up as like a leprechaun for that day. So we're trying to get like creative with what we're doing, and we're really trying to like find any way possible to get to our goal, because this really does mean a lot to us. It's not just a project. It's more of like how would you, it's like obligation at this point, because we're so far deep into it, and we're so dedicated to it that it's just something that is so meaningful to us.
And an important thing that goes towards our mission is that most of the city, most of our school district is under the poverty line. So many students don't have the financial needs to make it on the trip. So this is why we've done all these fundraisers, and we're still fundraising, because we've raised about $4,000, and we need about $7,000 to cover the hotel and the planes. And yeah, we just ask that we're not asking like anybody to like donate money. We're just here to get the word out, and hopefully the most amount of people that can hear this can do something for us and help us.
One question. For those who don't use the GoFundMe page, who do they make the check out to?
It could either go to Melissa Hamilton. It could go to Revere High School. We do have a credit union account at Revere High School.
So Revere High School, and put your organization /
Yes.
dedicated to that. Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other counselors?
Yes.
Counselor?
Could we have the literal contact information so if someone wishes to send a check, an address, so that people in the audience can hear this? The other thing is this. We have many projects before us, and I'm sure developers that come before us will show some goodwill to you. If not, I can guarantee you I'll be putting the arm on them. Yeah, because this is a good project. Yeah, it's extortion, so what? I'm sure they won't mind helping a good cause like this. I'll put the arm on YouTube, Tony. Anyway, so this is very heartwarming, folks. And they can send a check to the high school. They can go on the GoFundMe page.
Yeah, the GoFundMe page is right on the bottom of the page that we handed out to you guys.
Yep, so it says www.gofundme RHS Senior Advisory Service Mission. Again, it's RHS Senior Advisory Service Mission. And other councilors, we all have Facebook pages. I say we probably put this on our page and put it out to the people that are on it. And let's blast this and get this going for the people here. These beautiful young men and women. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. We really do commend your efforts, guys. You make us as a community so proud, and how great is it to have students that are going above and beyond their call of duty and their own purpose at the high school to want to help other people in another community. It really speaks a lot and speaks volumes of the work of the teachers at the high school as well as the quality of our students. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Point of information.
Counselor?
So I just asked Melissa Hamilton when the group is going, and it's the end of April? April 26th to the 29th. So we do have to get that money in by before that, so these kids can have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. We can also ask that they run this on Revere TV. We'll get Revere TV the information so they can do a plug for us as well. Oh, they need a total of 7,000. So, Councilor Rotundo, they need a total of 7,000, so we got to get everybody on board.
I was over here talking to Councilor Rizzo about possibly speaking to the mayor and seeing if we can do something on that level too.
We'll do everything we can. Madam Clerk?
Calendar item number 4, joint meeting of Comcast, National Grid, and Verizon to discuss double poles and patchwork.
Thank you both for coming, and I know National Grid has been tied up with the storm, but I'm sure you guys have been impacted by it as well, so we appreciate you taking the time to come before us this evening. At this time, we'll open it up with councilors. I'm going to start with Councilor Guanasso.
Thank you, Madam President. Welcome back, and we certainly miss you. You know, it's a pleasure that we have you in our chamber. We have so many requests based on so many double poles because they've been doing tons of work in the community, and National Grid and Verizon with all this going on, and it's created a lot of double poles that are extra. Namely, the one we worked so hard for Cushman Ave stand to get corrected. Now we have one again in front of the address of 123 Cushman Ave, and that resident has really been at great pains to have this removed. So would you please put that on the priority list to have that removed?
Cushman Avenue, that?
123 Cushman Avenue.
123 Cushman Avenue, okay. That would be in Dan's court to begin with, but I don't have it on this list.
Yeah, I was prepared to grab Dan, but he was smart in his wisdom, and after a storm, he isn't coming here. And he said he's at BC. Whether he's gaining more education, I don't know, but.
No, he's actually not. I just got an email from him. He's still on storm duty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, councilors. Councilor Pash?
Thank you, Madam President.
I don't have the list in front of me.
Glad to see you again, Stan.
I'm sure.
Listen, I got a couple of things.
Okay.
Let me see here. I got an email here. 619 Washington Ave. During the storm, she had 2 wires that came down from her house. The fire department has looked at them and said they were most likely, they weren't, of course, they weren't electric.
Yeah, they're communication.
And,
what number, Councilor?
619 Washington Ave. But she says her cable's working good, so I guess that leaves it to you.
Yep, okay.
But the wires are hanging from the house, not the pole.
So it's a down wire at the house?
Yeah, there's 2 wires. I don't know why there's 2, but.
Okay.
Okay, and also on Michael Road, this is the same question I ask you every time you come here. Pole 2, number 2.
Michael Road. Yeah, that's now in a telecommunications, it's dropped down, and it's at telecom.
No, I thought we already took care of that data.
It's still
one.
on. It's still on.
Well, we got the email that the guy said he took it down.
Okay.
I think he sent it to both of us.
Then what I'll do is I'll just get it to you. If you could, you would be next up on Michael Road, pole 2. So if you go and clear it, then we can get it. Okay.
All right, and thanks, I think you took care of Milano Ave.
Yep.
Thanks for doing that.
Not a problem.
Councilor Novoselsky?
Thank you, Madam President. Stan?
Yep.
Thank you for both coming. Unfortunately, I misplaced my list, but can you check Nahant Avenue? There was, Revere Fire had moved the line. Did they post that on the engine?
I have that pole is still in Grids Court.
There's no other line. That was an RFD fire department cable.
Okay, I only have one listed on this, on the database that I printed out for you.
When you say
So,
one listed,
one on Nahant Ave listed.
that's correct. It should be one pole.
Okay.
And who's next on it?
Well, it still shows as National Grid, so they haven't cleared it, but Fire Department, you said has...
National Grid is off, and Fire Department is off, and next is Comcast.
Right. I'll ask Stan to make sure that that's clear.
Okay.
And then Fire Department, if they've
And
cleared
they're
already...
just waiting for
Okay,
National Grid to clear it so they can do theirs.
all right. Okay,
Then I'll be bothering Comcast for their move.
all right.
Thank you.
Councilor Powers?
Thank you, Madam President. Stan, this probably falls more in the line of Verizon than National Grid, although there is a piece of National Grid, I believe, on it. Pole number 4242 on Rice Avenue at the intersection of Witherby. That'd be on the ocean side. I was down there over the weekend during the storm, and I noticed that pole was really shaking badly.
Okay.
And it might be good. It's set in sand also, so that might be something that should be looked at sooner than later to prevent any serious problems down there.
Okay.
And again, it's pole 4242, and anything you can do with that, I know the...
So it's a dangerous pole that we should take a look at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Stan.
right.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rizzo?
Thank you very much, Madam President. And Mr. Mayor, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Mayor.
Angela, good to see you. I don't have anything. My question, Madam President, if you can give me just a little bit of latitude, it's a very easy, basic question, I think. But understanding that RCN is soon to come into the community, my understanding is they're going to have to rewire the whole community. They're not going to be using any existing wires. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, they would have to, put their own cable up, and they wouldn't use someone else's.
Okay,
Correct.
so as they're rewiring the whole city, is it feasible to look at poles at that point, but rather than, have another wire going onto a pole that, not necessarily a double pole, but we have poles that aren't in the best of shape? Is that something you think that maybe you could look at as they start to rewire the city? Or?
Yeah, typically what happens is no matter who's attaching to the pole, they will inspect the pole before they attach to it. In addition, I know that they've been working with our engineering crew because there's always an issue with spacing, making sure that they're in the proper spacing. So I know that our licensing group is involved. So those poles will be looked at as, first as they're being placed and as they're being inspected by engineers.
Okay, because I know, through you, Madam President, I know that, some poles, not necessarily double poles, in fact, think it falls oftentimes onto the ward councilors that get the complaints about the double poles that may exist in front of people's homes and stuff. So I don't get that many calls on double poles, but I know that there are poles that are standalone poles that I look at and I say, I don't know if I'd want that in front of my house because it looks a little old, a little shaky, a little leaning, whatever. So
Yep.
I was just wondering where, what the process was when RCN comes in and they start to rewire, if there was going to be a process in place for them to, contact you and say, hey, this
Yep.
pole doesn't look right or whatever. Okay.
Exactly. In addition, Counselor, the citizens here have been very good about contacting, of course, the councilors, but also letting us know that, there's a questionable pole and we'll come out and inspect it. And typically what happens is then, our operations people will make a determination whether it needs to be replaced or not. So.
I appreciate your response as always, Mr. Mayor. Always good to see you, Angela. Thank you very much for appearing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other councilors? Councilor Morbido?
Guys, thank you for coming up and taking your time to go into detail and explain our issue, give us explanations on our issues that we present to you. And Angela, I just want to thank you. There were a couple issues that arose in the last couple of months, and you took care of them immediately. So thank you.
My pleasure. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam President, for the latitude. Stan, I spoke to you a couple of years ago about a pole on Walcott Road near number 16 that's leaning about 15 degrees now.
Okay, oh, it's not a double pole, Walcott
It's not
Road.
a double pole, it's looks like it's a pole that's going to fall down and pull the other poles down with it.
Okay.
So if they can review that
idea
again.
roughly the
16 Walcott Road.
16, okay. All right. I'll put that into engineering
Please,
tomorrow.
yeah. It's getting worse.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other councilors? Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Madam President. Stan?
Yep.
Hi. We had a problem 1027 with Revere. The pole almost came down during the storm, and I don't know, they did come down and secure it, but I don't know how well they did it. So it's right in front of 1027.
Okay, typically what they'll do is make sure that it's secured if it's not on the ground, only because during the storm, there were a plethora of poles that were down, and we try to restore those first. I'll ask and see if that is scheduled to be replaced or what.
Okay, it was swaying, and they did
Okay.
come down as an emergency, so it's going to fall on a house.
Okay.
Any other councilors? Thank you both.
Thank you.
Next item is the zoning subcommittee report.
Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to report out favorably the project C-1802 of Mara Lucia Alvarez Fonseca, represented by Attorney Larry Simeone, with the following conditions: that a 3-foot buffer be maintained, that I believe it's called the compressor, be located at the furthest point away from any residential area, and that we take this up favorably.
On the motion.
I just had one other question, Counselor. Will the other conditions that were set forth by site plan review be included?
Thank you.
Okay.
On the motion with the conditions of site plan review.
Shall the City Council grant the relief requested for 225 Broadway, subject to the findings and conditions of site plan review? And Chairman Rotundo. Counselor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Morabito. Yes. Yes. Counselor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Patch. Yes. Yes. Counselor Powers.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Rizzo.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Rotundo. Yes. Yes. Counselor Zambuto.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Janino.
Yes.
Yes, the special permit has been granted, subject to the findings and conditions.
The other items will remain in committee, Counselor?
Yes, Madam President.
All right, calendar item number 9.
Is the Appointments Subcommittee report?
Councilor Guanasso.
Madam President, earlier this afternoon, the Appointment Subcommittee met. We had one item on the agenda. It was the reappointment of Cynthia Kareen Tolis as a constable for the City of Revere. That was voted out favorably. I ask that the City Council as a whole vote favorably for this appointment.
Madam Clerk, on the appointment.
Shall the City Council confirm the appointment of Cynthia Tallis as a constable? Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna. Yes. Councilor Morabito.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotundo. Yes. Councilor Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Janino.
Yes.
Yes, the appointment has been confirmed. Calendar item number 11, motion presented by...
Madam President, if I may.
Councilor.
Madam President, we have a rule in the books, Rule 28, that in the past we've accepted, it's already accepted. And a lot of these are simple motions, and I would like that we activate Rule 28, which states, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 28, if there are no objections, all of the motions, orders, or resolutions printed in the City Council chamber calendar of this meeting and any meeting that we may have in the future shall be approved as printed. Now, in the past, what we've done, if there are questions that someone may have on a particular one, the clerk would ask each council which ones they would like to hear. All the other ones would automatically be approved with no discussion. So I would ask that the council accept this, and I think it'll move things along a little speedier.
Councilor Rotundo.
Second that motion.
Any councilors? I think that's a great idea, Councilor Novoselsky. I'm glad you brought it up. Madam Clerk.
So typically in the past, the council, the council president would just go down the line asking which city councilor would like to speak on which one. I'll just circle it and we'll go from there.
None tonight.
No, thank you.
Pass.
I'm just going to go on with Councilor Rizzo there on 12.
Councilor Powers.
11 and a late.
11 and which late, Councilor?
I don't have it in front of me.
Sorry, my mic's on. Which late, Councilor?
Councilor Powers, you had two late motions in. One was regarding Wonderland, and the other was the Casasa overpass plaque.
So we have 11, 19, and 20. Councilor Rizzo.
I'm going to go along with Councilor Patch's calendar item number 12, and I think, do I have a late in there, Madam Clerk? One late?
So 12 and 18?
Is 18 the late?
That is the late.
Okay, yeah, please. Thank you.
Councilor Rotundo. No one has spoke on 17? Would you like to speak on 16 or 17? 16 for sure. 17? Okay, 16 and 17. Councilor Zambudo. All right, this time we'll start on calendar item number 11. Councilor Powers.
Motion presented by Councilor Powers that the mayor requests the Veterans Affairs Director and the DPW Sign Department to coordinate the installation of a veteran memorial pole for former City Councilor, U.S. Navy veteran Gerald Esposito at the intersection of the Route 1A North Jug Handle Turn on the east side of Route 1A North and Mills Avenue.
Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. For those who may not know Gerald Erico, and I don't think there are too many people, he lived in the Point of Pines area for decades. His wife and himself go back a long way with their families in the city. He served as a administrative assistant to former Mayor Einstein. And he also, he also served as a Ward 5 councilor for several years. And more importantly, he was always available in his community, whether serving as a counselor or an administrative assistant to Mayor Einstein, in whatever capacity. He was always there for the people in the city. He also worked as a registry inspector at the RMV on Nashua Street. And in that position, I know that he received so many people calling him and asking him if they could maybe pick up a number plate or take care of this or take care of that, something that that would save them the trip of going to Boston and sitting in a lot of traffic. So I think that this, based on his service to his community, his service to his country, and his service to his citizens, this is very, very well deserved, and I would hope that sometime in April, when the weather clears, that we would be able to get this memorial put up. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 12, motion presented by Councilors Rizzo, Patch, and Guanasso, that the mayor contact the Department of Transportation to study the traffic light at the corner of Charger Street and Squire Road. Traffic flowing from Northgate onto Route 60 East has a steady green that turns flashing yellow. That does not give people enough time coming from Charger Street into Northgate the opportunity to proceed, as the traffic never stops from the oncoming direction. The lights from Charger Street going into Northgate should have its own steady green light, while the oncoming traffic has a steady red light to allow the traffic to flow more smoothly. And Councilor Zambudo is recused from this motion.
Counselor Rizzo?
Thank you very much, Madam President. I know, I should probably say after that explanation that the clerk just read that I had presented probably speaks for itself, but, and it seems to me like a valid solution. It's getting very busy down there. Northgate, as we all know, has become a very busy place, and sometimes people can get tied up on Charger Street. So I've been approached by several residents who are concerned about the flow of traffic, particularly going from Charger into the Northgate area, although we know that it can get queued up pretty good in the Northgate area coming out. But I think it's time, as the area grows and as more and more people are now heading down toward Northgate, sometimes things need to be modified. What maybe was good 6 months ago or a year ago might not be good today. So I would like the DOT to take a look at that and hopefully study it and just tweak it a little bit so that traffic flows a little more smoothly. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Patch?
Thank you, Madam President. Again, I had this motion in the past, and I've never had much success with DOT. I hope now with the new administration that in the state that we can get somebody down there to look at it. As Councilor Rizzo said, it's even got worse, and the people in Charger Street really deserve a break, along with the people in Sigourney Street. But that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Councilors, if I may, can I amend this motion to include the Sigourney Street light, that they can look into that as well?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Counselor?
Council to my left is blocking me. I just need, I echo the sentiments of the previous two councilors, and certainly when you come down Charger, you don't have a possibility of getting across because there's so much traffic generated from, what's the old saying? Say, don't ask for something, you might get it. Well, when we asked for something, we got it. When we asked for Market Basket to go there, we welcomed them with open arms, and we saw a depleted shopping center pretty empty. we don't know when we had it good with traffic, because in those days you could traverse the whole area without any problems. But through the success of what was done the right way, of course, putting these businesses in place, we certainly created a monster with the traffic. And I think DOT has to make note of that, and they have to come down and review the traveling area and to make a positive change, because I don't know if they've been there since we had the new market basket in place. So I look forward to them coming down, and as Councilor Patch and Councilor Rizzo said, batting record with DOT is not too good on state highways, so we look for their help. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, councilors. On the motion as amended, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered. 15?
Calendar item number 15, motion presented by Councilor McKenna, that the mayor consider repaving the sidewalks on Belle Isle Ave to support the safety of our school children walking to the Beachmont School. This motion was previously submitted approximately 8, I think that should say months ago, because the sidewalks are so deteriorated, students have to walk in the street to get to school.
Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Madam President. So this is on Belle Isle Ave, and it's in the direction of the Beachmont School. And the sidewalks, there really aren't any sidewalks left. It's all dirt. So I'm asking, this is my second motion, I'm asking, it's tar, it's not concrete, so it's less expensive, and I'm just asking if they'd re-tar the sidewalk going to Beachmont School. Thank you.
Thank you, councilor. On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 16, motion presented by Councilor Rotundo, that the mayor look into the feasibility of placing a resource officer at every middle school or at the middle schools that do not currently have one.
Councilor.
It speaks for itself.
Any other councilors wishing to speak? On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Madam President?
Councilor.
I'm sorry. I just want to follow up on Councilor Rotundo's motion. I really don't know what to make of it, and I really don't even know where to go with it. I mean, we have a couple of motions that have been submitted pertaining to public safety. Councilor Rotundo was just asking about another SRO or putting SROs in middle schools. And, you know, we have a motion in that the mayor appear with the fire chief to talk about apparatus and maybe if there's a need for more overtime or more firefighters or what is causing these brownouts and equipment to be out of service. And that to me was an emergency motion then. Now we asked, in light of this uptick in violence in schools and so on, we wanted to meet with the police chief and the mayor in executive session to talk about what plans they have in place. And I can't for the life of me understand why we're not even getting a response. Send a note. If he wants to send a note and say, I'm not interested, at least tell us that. But to not know, I mean, I'm fearful for where Councilor Rotundo's motion is going to go, if it goes in any of the places that my motions go. I really have no idea. It's beyond my comprehension that we don't get a response to motions that are submitted. And, you know, that's a very serious motion that Councilor Rotundo just put in. I hope that there is, you know, some willingness to work with the City Council when it comes to at least matters pertaining to public safety. These are not feel-good motions. These are motions that impact the safety of our community, and in this case of the over 7,000 kids that attend public schools. I think this should get his attention, and we should be able to follow up on motions that are submitted. And I just want to say that as a point of privilege. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you,
Madam
Councilor.
President,
Councilor
can I just have a point of information? Point of information rules.
He asked for one already. You're up next, Councilor. Okay.
I just want to, I don't want to step on your toes, Councilor Rizzo, but I just want to say there was a public meeting at the high school last week where Chief Guido was there, Chief Bright was there, the RSO was there, and they talked about the emergency plans that they would take and all the active shooter drills they do. It was a very informative session, So I know Councilor Novoselsky was there. I just want to let you know that they did have a public meeting. I don't want the viewers to think that the school committee just sat back or anyone else's.
You know, Councilor, you know, through you, Madam President, I'm not suggesting the school committee sat back. I'm saying we're the city council, and we have an equal responsibility, if not, you know, a greater responsibility when it comes to spending public safety dollars and what we're doing here. And, you know, I think, in all honesty, it's extremely disrespectful. I don't know, you know, I would feel if your motions were being ignored, I would say as a colleague, it's disrespectful. You know, having sat down in the mayor's office for 4 years, I would have never done that to any city councilor. And so I don't think that my motions ought to be directed to the school committee. That doesn't make any sense to me. If I wanted to be a school committee member, I would have ran for school committee. But, you know, as a city councilor, asking for a meeting in executive session, by the way, not to sit here and grandstand about issues, to talk in executive session about what we're doing with respect to public safety in our schools, I just find it extremely disrespectful. And I shouldn't have to chase the school committee around to get answers to my questions. That's all I'm saying, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor. On the motion. Oh, Councilor. See, you gave the floor to Steve. Almost lost it.
No, thank you. These are serious issues. And what troubles me the most is for the past 2 years, I haven't received any information, or so I say a year and a half. To the point that I've had to FOIA things. I've stood up here and fought with the mayor tooth and nail. And this has to do with our safety. You know, something that's germane to everybody in the city, young and old. I put this motion forward because I believe that there's a need for that. That there's a need to have a resource officer within the schools. I understand that the school committee had their presentation with the police department, and that's fine. But I have spent some time in the military. I've done mount training. I'm sure Charlie has done his time in the military. He's a combat Marine. There are questions that I'm going to ask the chief of police and others regarding what they're going to do in the event something happens. What's their ability to withstand an MCI? How do they handle it? Questions that most people can't think of asking because they haven't had the experience to do it. But that said, who handles the CBQ here? Who handles that training? How often do they do it? How many rounds a month do they use in training? You know, because one of the biggest things that you have to know about when you're training is the use of your weapon and how many, you know, times a month you're training with that weapon. I just spoke to a state trooper who belongs to the SWAT team. And what he said to me is that they run between 5,000 and 10,000 rounds per year. That's a lot of training. 5,000 and 10,000 rounds per year, that's a lot of training. It's a lot of expenditure. So what do we do here in the city of Revere for that training for our SWAT team that's going to be handling, you know, God forbid, an event that happens at one of our schools? So that's why I want this information, you know, provided to us. And more importantly, we're still looking for the information regarding the assessment center.
Councilor Rotundo. On the resource officers.
Thank you.
Thank you. On the motion. All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 17, motion presented by Councilor McKenna, that the city of Revere provide sandbags to residents afflicted with flooding during extreme weather conditions.
Councilor.
Thank you, Madam President. So this very bad storm, I haven't seen a storm like this happen since 1978, so don't add up the years of how old I am. But anyways, I had called for some sandbags where some residents had requested, and we don't have any sandbags. And every other community, Winthrop, and I don't know who else, but I know that Situate, they all have sandbags, and people can go to like the DPW in Situate or Winthrop, and they can get sandbags that the city provide. So I'm just asking that we provide sandbags because I really do think this is the norm. And I think this is going to happen again. I hate to say that, but, and we should have sandbags for our residents, just in case. You know, I was down in Belle Isle Ave, and you know, they had to go and buy it to put against the door so the water wouldn't go in the door. So I think we should provide sandbags. We should have them at the DPW in a designated place for people to come and pick them up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you. I think also part and parcel of this is how much or how many tons do we need to dedicate of sand for these particular issues? Because having the sandbags are fine, but the other issue is most people can't provide the sand to themselves. And considering that part of our job as servants is to ensure that we protect the community or help people protect their own property. And I think we should have an analysis as to how many tons of sand that we might need in order to facilitate the use of sandbags in people's properties. And I think this is an easy process. We can look to other communities and figure out what they did and extrapolate that here. Thank you.
Councilor Rizzo.
Just want to say that this is an excellent motion by Council McKenna. I'm almost getting the feeling that instead of sandbags, we need a levy at this point, you know, given these last recent storms and storm surge that we've been experiencing. You know, we had, I know in Beachmont, we had cars that were floating away in the parking lot, and, you know, it's still a little bit a mystery to me why, you know, with a 3-day notice of a major northeaster, why we didn't call school and save those poor teachers' cars and the kids that had to sit on the buses for a long time to get home because of flooded out streets. But nonetheless, I think this motion makes a lot of sense, has a lot of merit. We have to, you know, try to help people protect themselves, and I applaud Councilor McKenna's motion in helping do that.
Thank you, Councilor.
Hi, Eric Lampadecchio, 43 Tapley Avenue. Quick question regarding Rule 28 for the City Council. How would those in attendance at the chamber get the opportunity to speak on a motion if they're auto-approved?
It's a great question, Madam Clerk.
If the speaker would like to address the council, he can certainly do so. There's a special act that the City Council has. Any item appearing on the agenda, any member of the public may speak on it.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Perhaps at the end, after we get through the regular agenda, who wants to speak, we can ask if there's any remainder or any open issues that people still want to speak on. We'll call them up at the end.
Okay, but at that point, would it be too late? Would the motion already be voted on and off the table?
No, because the meeting is still open.
Okay.
So as long as the meeting's open, at the end, I'll allot time.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
With regard to this motion, I want to say thank you to Councilor McKenna to stepping up to the plate here and trying to get the residents some help with these storms. We keep hearing about these 100-year storms. They're turning into monthly storms at this point. We just went through this in January, and I have to say that this particular storm that we just faced was very mismanaged. We had kids stuck at school. I have family down the Pines. They were isolated. They couldn't go get their daughters and sons at the school. Basically, we've forced families to separate during a time of disaster, and that's unacceptable. I'm of the mindset of Councilor Rizzo. We need to get a levy. We need better flooding mitigation in this city. Sandbags are not enough. I have a video of River Avenue down the Point of Pines where you can see here the flooding is about 4 feet high on the street. Now, I don't know any sandbags that go 4 feet high.
Can you zoom into that, Rick?
We need flooding mitigation. We are past the point. I'd like to see a motion up here for engineers to get down there, study the area, and get some solutions long-term. Thank you.
Point of information.
Councilor.
I just talked to Speaker DeLeo today, and I have a meeting set up about what the Army of Corps of Engineers and a couple of other departments to come down to Beachmont and in Point of Pines and take a look and see what we can do. So it is a conversation that's starting. We need to start the conversation because I do think this is the norm, and I think it's going to happen again. And I know in my ward, the poor people in Pearl Ave and in Belle Isle Ave and Crystal Ave, they got 4.5, 5 feet of water. And this is the second time. So, yes, there is a conversation that's going to start. And I don't know, you know, what's going to happen, but it is going to start.
Thank you for leading that charge. Really appreciate that.
Councilor Powers?
Thank you, Madam President. I had the opportunity this weekend to observe the tremendous impact that the dunes had over on Rice Avenue. Well, they didn't stop all of the water. They stopped a great deal of it. And I think that without those dunes, that entire area, well, Harrington Avenue was impacted because there was a breach there. But without those dunes, that entire area would have been severely impacted. Getting back to Riverside, and one of the things that I would suggest down there, particularly, and I don't think it's an expensive thing, it's something that would cost a few dollars, but I don't think it's exorbitant, would be to find a way to work in Jersey barriers along that section of Rice Avenue, of Mills Avenue, I'm sorry, to prevent the, I mean, that would help tremendously, because I saw water today, I was down there, and it was just about coming over onto the roadway. And I'm sure that if you had Jersey barriers down there, or something as large as a Jersey barrier, that would have gone a great distance to prevent the flooding that they have down there. But to the mayor's credit, I talked to him Sunday evening, and Saturday evening rather, and he had equipment down there Sunday, moving that sand around, and he had it down there again today, and he will have it down there later tomorrow or the next day, making sure that all of those side streets are cleared up. He has given me that commitment. Thank you, Madam President.
Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you. I'm going to offer a motion based upon Council McKenna's idea, and that the City of Revere request the Corps of Army Engineers to see if there is a suitability for a wall, or revetment wall, down at the Point of Pines, very similar to what they have down in Winthrop. They have one in Quincy down at Furnaceburg Parkway, that area. And, you know, trying to put up a Jersey barrier there, you know, water can push a car, the Jersey barrier is just going to be play. But to have a seawall up, I think, would be beneficial. And I think, you know, it might cost, you know, some money, but at the end of the day, we should ask the federal government to help with that. We're spending millions of dollars to help mitigate the issues of our infrastructure for the EPA. Our state delegation and our federal delegation should at least be able to find us the money to get the Corps of Engineers to put up a seawall along the Point of Pines and down by North Shore Road, that area. So I don't know how to phrase the motion, but Madam Clerk, if you could help me with it, or even Council McKenna. Are you
Councilor
working on
McKenna?
it?
Thank you, Madam President. To add to Councilor Rotundo's motion, please, you said just Point of Pines. Beachmont really needs to be added to that. It's getting inundated as much as Point of Pines. So I'd just like to add that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. So we'll take up Councilor Rotundo's verbal motion to have the Army Corps of Engineers look into a study of a beach wall in the Point of Pines area.
How about this, that the mayor requests the Corps of Army Engineers to look at all areas of penetration within the city of Revere for the feasibility of placing a seawall to prevent penetration into the neighborhoods, water penetration into the neighborhoods. Because down by Belle Isle, that area there, I bet you if you had a wall up there, you'd probably stop some of the flooding down by that area as well. So it might be millions of dollars, but you know what?
Through you, Madam President, to Councilor Rotundo. What happened down there is a couple of years ago, they had leveled it. They had mounds of dirt there that did stop some of the water, not all of the water, and that was all removed. So now they have a big problem down there because it's level with the creek. So now it's just pouring in. And they need, I don't know if they could put a wall there just because it's the DEP. But if they could put, like he said, Councilor Powers said that he had the dunes that helped stop the water. We don't have that in Beachmont. We don't have the mounds of dirt there to stop the water. It's just flowing right in. So it really needs to be something done down there. Thank you.
Counselor. So on Councilor Rotundo's verbal motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered. On Councilor McKenna's motion, calendar item number 17, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 18, motion presented by Councilor Rizzo, that the mayor convene a meeting with the City Council and DCR to discuss the possibility of resanding and renourishing Revere Beach in light of the recent storms that have washed lots of sand over the beach wall and onto the boulevard.
Councilor Rizzo.
Madam President, the motion basically speaks for itself. Obviously, with these storms, a lot of the beach has, there's been some serious corrosion, and hopefully, maybe it's something the DCR can help us out with. The DCR, I have to say, in all fairness, has done a very good job in maintaining Revere Beach over the years, and you know, obviously with a lot of these storms, it takes a toll, and if there's a way that the DCR can assist in helping renourish the beach for the benefit of all of our residents and visitors, that would be a great thing. So, again, there's more pressing things out there, I know, to address flooding and so on and so forth, but at least if we can get this in the queue somewhere, let the DCR know we're thinking about it, that at least would be a good start, I think.
Thank you, Councilor Rizzo. Well, I think we all know how long the DCR takes to do anything, so I think if we do it now, we might get a new beach in 20 years. No, I'm just kidding. But I hope that they do act on it, so I think it was very forward-thinking. Any councilors? On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 19, motion presented by Councilor Powers, that the mayor request inspectional services to do the following. 1, request Wonderland to fix the falling and broken construction fences that surround the property. 2, request Wonderland to cover the material in the parking lot. And 3, issue any fines relative to the illegal parking of vehicles in the Wonderland parking lot.
Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. As a result of this storm, there are several sections of fence that are just about leaning out on the sidewalk. And God help some poor person that's walking along there and this fence decides to collapse. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago the contaminated material, and I know it's contaminated because I know the DEP has issued fines down there. It's sitting in the middle of that parking lot. What's the big deal? Why can't they go down there with their maintenance crew and put some tops over that? The winds we had this past week, 50, 60 miles an hour through there, God knows how much of that stuff blew into yards and neighborhoods that abut that area down there. Not a big deal. Tops, you can get them at Home Depot. Maybe you go over and buy 50 or 60 of them and spread it over that and weight them down with some bricks to protect the residents down there. And the other issue, the zoning officer for this city, the building inspector, told them to cease and desist parking the cars down there. They appealed it to the ZBA. On 2 occasions, the ZBA said the same thing. Now they're appealing it to Superior Court. I mean, the law of that special permit that they received expired in 2015. It doesn't exist anymore. And I would ask that the mayor direct the building inspector, zoning officer, to go down there and issue fines on a daily basis, not only on the debris and the fence and all of that, but more importantly, on those cars. Every day they're violating the city ordinance, okay? They don't have a license and they don't have a special permit from this body, and they should be fined to the maximum every day. If the Superior Court rules in their favor, that's fine, that's different. But I don't think they will. And I think it's important that this city flex its muscles with regard to people that are violating the ordinances of this city. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor. On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 20, motion presented by Councilor Powers, that the mayor request Mass DOT to reinstall the plaque dedicating the Route 16 overpass at Broadway as the Mayor Andrew Casassa overpass. The plaque was stolen by vandals several years ago and was never replaced. Councilor Zambudo is recused from this motion.
Counselor Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. Andrew Casassa was mayor of this city from 1929 to 1934. He served 3 consecutive terms. He was the first Italo-American mayor ever to be elected in the city. And for years, I can remember a plaque on that bridge on the Chelsea-Revere line dedicating it as the Andrew Casassa Memorial Bridge. And I think that it's incumbent upon us to make sure that that plaque is put up there again. The man served this city, and he served it from all indications that I've heard. He was a good mayor. Obviously, he was reelected a couple of times, served 3 terms. And I would ask a copy, Madam Clerk, a copy of this motion be referred to Senator Boncory and Representative Vincent. Thank you very much.
Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, through you to Councilor Powers, can we also add the speaker on that? Sir. Please. But the second thing I want to relate to is the Casassa overpass. I know it's not my ward, but it bothers me. Every time I go over that bridge on the Parkway, we see those Jersey barriers there. Those barriers, if they, I believe, 10 years, and it's either DCR or MassDOT that have not repaired that bridge. I know they did some underwork, but those barriers shouldn't be staying there. You know, we're in Revere, and we want to have a decent-looking city, and DCR and MassDOT are not helping it. And somehow, whether we want to add it on to your motion or make another verbal motion that, you know, we find out why this hasn't been repaired and get it done.
I would
It's a
add
disgrace.
I would add it on to the motion, certainly.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Councilor Novoselsky.
On the motion as amended, all in favor? All opposed?
Madam President, if I could, I'd like to make a verbal motion at this time. I have a constituent in the audience from Toscano Avenue
Counselor.
that would like to speak about the culvert along Asti Ave, and if you give them the permission to speak, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. What's
Thank
your
you.
motion relative to the culvert?
The flooding, well, actually, there wasn't, this time we were lucky. I think the observation by the Department of Public Works and the Chief Guido, who I was in constant contact with, had been watching the area. And, but it's been an ongoing problem for years, as I'm sure Mr. Falzoni will tell you, if you give him.
So is the motion to have the DPW?
Motion to have the culvert cleaned and people that have been throwing debris into the culvert be punished for doing so.
SDF? Sir?
SDF, yeah. That's it.
Madam
Thank
President, thank you for suspending the rules. Charlie, thank you for let me speak. My story is short and sweet. I've been on that corner in Asti Ave in Toscano close to 49 years. I know how the whole system works with the culvert that floods. Talking about the Army Corps of Engineers. Army Corps, 1996, Bobby Haas was the mayor, and we had a major flood down here in 1996. And prior to that, it was going back and forth, whose job was doing what. The city said it's not my job, it's the state job. So going back and forth for all those years. Being in fact, we've been down here. In 1996, we had no choice but to get it fixed because Asti Ave, Toscano, Sicilian, Geneva, and it went halfway up to SDF. We all got inundated with water, with floods. So prior to that, for the past 18 years, I can concur with Mr. Danny Rizzo. Danny Rizzo knows the problem, Charlie Patch, Ward 6, and Jessica, you're in Ward 6, but first time I met you was last week, so
Yeah.
thanks for listening to me.
Of course.
But the major part, I can concur with all, Mr. Granasso, Ira, Mr. Powers. All you guys live near the ocean. And every time I'm sure you hear of heavy rains and the tides, extra high tides coming in, you guys must squeak. Is it going to happen or it's not going to happen? Where I live, Ward 6, there is no large body of water. There is only a small creek, what Mr. Charlie Patch just had said. And the reason why it floods down here is because when Green Tree Lane was put in and Caruso Court was put in, what happened with that? Ever since then, 1996, when it flooded, we found every house that abutted that little creek on Caruso Court was dumping bags of grass that they cut. They cut their trees, their stumps, it blocks up everything. The last time I was there was just past week. We had a nice day. There is broken lawnmowers. There's a toilet bowl that's broke. There's tops that are broke. There's tree limbs as big as trees that they cut and throw over the fence. And the reason why Toscano Ave floods and SDF floods is because when we get an astronomical rainstorm, that creek becomes a river. And everything washes down, says on SDF to this little trash gates. I took Charlie Patch down there. We've seen it. Charlie knows it. Danny, I'm sure you know where the problem is. And I've been taking care of the problem myself for about 5 years. I'm in this creek with my rake and my wheelbarrow straighten everything out to relieve the pressure on the city of Revere. I must say, because of where the DPW is not really, they don't have enough manpower. I do understand that. I'm not here to cast any stones on anybody. I just need help. And for the years that I've tried before, when Danny was, oh my God, how many years, Danny, since you've known me? Long time. Danny knows the problem, and we're still trying to get it. First of all, I don't want to talk anymore. You guys, thank you for suspending the rules, but there is some pictures will illustrate, if you don't mind, if I could start from left to right and pass them down.
Yeah, or if we give them to the clerk, she can distribute them too, and we can give them back, or,
Thank you.
thank you.
Picture one, when you get to picture one, the problem area starts from behind the Showcase Cinemas. That's where it all starts from. Now, I'm so glad that we talked about the Army Corps of Engineers. I was told the Army Corps of Engineers in 1996, when they fixed that problem, they never maintained it again. And I was told that they're broke. Picture one is where it all starts from. That body of water runs through the floodgates. It runs parallel with the Harley-Davidson, runs under Squire Road. And the first impact area is St. Mary's Church. The ballpark that is built, that was inundated, flooded. That's the first impact area. Then it trickles down, and it comes down to SDF. And if the trash gates are blocked up because they're not maintained by the state, Revere is, like I said, they're flushed out, but they need a lot of help. So with that, this fella, Mr. Coletti, is the engineer for stormwater drain engineer for, I think it's Sector 4. I was calling this guy, and me being an ordinary Joe Blow six-pack, he's not going to answer my phone calls, but he's going to say, who the hell is this guy? So I was told that this man, the engineer for the city, I went down there, talked to him, I guess his name is Ryan, but it's immaterial. He's had said to me, he's made numerous phone calls to this person, And his answer to the engineer for the city, the public's not complaining. So more or less, there's no reason for me to do anything else. So when I heard that, that's when I started calling. And there was no answer, nothing whatsoever. So I said to myself, I called Charlie Patch. Name recognition goes a long way. I'm sure Charlie said who he was, and 20 minutes later, there was the phone call. Charlie called me back, and Mr. Coletti said to Charlie, everything's straightened out. Here's the problem. The problem is the state has to maintain that, they have to maintain that problem. If they don't maintain that problem during a heavy rainstorm, we flood out. And when it floods out to the point of the head pressure on that gate, you could call the fire department down, the DPW would come down. You cannot pull that debris from that grate because the pressure behind that is astronomical. I've been there and I tried it myself. It's not DCR. DCR is, they've fixed the area, the sewer. They put a whole new situation down here. It was really, it helped an awful lot. The problem is there's no preventive maintenance in that area. The pictures that you see illustrates from the first to the seventh one. The problem that happens is the last picture, number 7. Those trash gates are blocked because of all the debris, illegal dumping from Caruso Court, and they dump it down here. And the answers I get from I spoke to Donnie Goodwin. Donnie Goodwin has made numerous phone calls to the inspectional services, and the answer to that was, we'll look into it. Past 20, 22 years, 23 years, they're still looking into it, and we're still getting floods. Like I said, I'm not here to cast any stones on anybody. I just need help. I just turned 73 years old, and on my birthday, I was in this creek with my wheelbarrow and my rake, making sure we don't flood out. Then it dawned on me. I said to myself, what am I doing here at my age? And that's when everything came into play. And the reason why I'm here today is all the years I've been coming back and forth up here, I developed a real health problem. And if I get any more sicker than I am now, then I'm going to have to sell the property. I've been there for 49 years, and you know, I hope I don't get sick, but if I do, I cannot take care of that issue anymore. So I'm here for help. I didn't want to speak tonight because I've been coming up here listening to you guys talking. I'm trying to follow the rules and the regulations. But because of this last storm here, we got very lucky. And the reason why we got lucky, because Caruso Court, they're not cutting grass, they're not trimming their trees, they're not throwing garbage out, there's no plastic bags full of grass that's blocking the area. Next month is the rainy season, that's when they start. That's when they start throwing their clippings in the little brook, and that's when all hell breaks up. So again, I can't go down there anymore this spring or this summer, so I need help. I'm going to be back. I'm going to try to come here. I'm going to make arrangements to try to come every night. For my story to wrap this up in this short amount of time is just ridiculous. And I'm sure you guys, you know, it's late. And I want to thank everybody for suspending the rules to hear my plea. But I will be back with more details with the departments I intend to work with, if it's okay with you guys.
Thank you,
so
sir.
Pictures illustrate, they show an awful lot. And thank you again. And I'll see you again.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And I think a picture's worth 1,000 words, and we appreciate your time and you know, going out of your way to help the city and help your neighborhood. I'm going to open it up to councilors. Councilor McKenna, followed by Councilor Rotundo.
Mr. Falzoni, right here, over here.
Oh,
Hi.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to ask you a question. Is there a road that runs behind that property where the culvert is, that is on the Malden side?
On the Malden side, as far as I know, that body of water starts from...
So Councilor Rotundo is saying yes. What I've heard, because I have friends on Goldie Street that got flooded, and they said that there's a road that runs in back of the properties of that area, and they say that all these people from, well, I don't even know where they're from, but they ride down there with, you know, trucks of all kinds of things.
Oh, sure,
And they
absolutely.
dump there.
Yeah, I've seen it myself.
So one of the things that maybe we could do is work with Malden and try to shut that road so we can prohibit people from going down there in their trucks and dumping, because that's what you said, that was one of the problems that they were
sure.
doing.
Anything you guys can do, I can really appreciate the fact that you even listened to me tonight. Again, like I had said prior to all this statements that I'm just making now. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not used to this. Anything anybody can do, as far as I'm concerned, I really would appreciate it as well as anybody else but down here. But now to answer your question, I'm not too sure of that road which you're talking about. When that was designed, going back when, I'm going to go back almost 50 years, that little creek was designed when they developed that whole area, Toscano, Asti, and it was planned wrong to begin with. It's an open creek. It should have been a box culvert where nothing falls into that. That runs underneath the expressway. It goes on to, I can't think of the name of the street, near the club. It goes underneath there and it runs into the backyard. It dumps into Town Line Brook. Like you said, if it's blocked, it doesn't, it works like a gigantic check valve. That gates are blocked and everything backs up. With that body of water that's in there, it's just, sleeping at night, we don't deserve it. We're nowhere near any large body of water. None whatsoever. So when I hear your stories, your pleas about flooding, you're down by the ocean, it's expected. But where I live, it's poor maintenance. We shouldn't expect that to happen. But then again,
I think some other councilors wanted to speak too.
I'm sorry?
Some other councilors, I think, want to speak to you as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Councilor Rizzo?
Thank you very much, Madam President. Is this picture, Mr. Falzone, is this picture from the last storm?
This picture here was going back late summer.
Okay.
That's going back late summer.
But for this storm, it wasn't like this, correct?
No.
Okay.
No, the reason why it wasn't like that, Danny, was because that they're not cutting their grass, they're not cutting their trees, they're not doing nothing because nothing's growing. When they cut their tree limbs, they cut their grass, they dump it there on a heavy rain, it all washes down, and that's what happens.
Well, I think, there's no question that and not just this particular gate, but all through the system, it really needs to be maintained and it really needs to be cleaned out. I remember going back, back in the days when, at that time, I believe Representative Kathy Reinstein was in, and I believe it was her that was working with now Representative Vincent, along with, I think, possibly even Senator Birmingham and his staff, Anthony Guerrero, on the tide gates down there, how those weren't working, and then they ultimately were repaired, and I think they're still operational now, correct? I mean, I'm pretty sure they...
No, they're not. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Okay, so they're not operational?
No.
Okay, well, I think that's an issue right there then.
I was told that they broke in our favor. And I said to myself, if they broke in our favor, God forbid if they ever broke, how can you say that those floodgates are not operating in our favor when that body of water shot right down there and ended up in the creek? There's no excuse for that, none whatsoever. Right. The Army Corps, Mr. Rotundo, Councilman Kenneth, the Army Corps of Engineers, when they fixed that back in 1996, I think it took them almost a year to fix the problem. Nobody never even maintained that, and that's why we're in the situation we are today. There is nothing being maintained. And the state has an issue. The state is really they turned around and said to us that, why should we go down there and clean out all this debris when the people on Caruso Court and everybody dumps their stuff down there? It's like a vicious circle, and I can't blame them. I can't blame them at all. Now, the sidewalk, that in front of my house, and I still get no answers for this. I spoke to Frank Stringy. I got no answers from him. I have an appointment this week with Mr. Fester. I'm going to call him to find out just what, I get no answers from anybody. It seems to be when I make a statement.
I don't either.
Again, I'm just nobody here, and I'm
Sir?
presenting my, oh, I'm sorry.
No, with all due respect, Councilor Rotundo has another comment, but I think what the best solution for this would be is to put it into the Public Works Committee. That way you can come before the committee again, we can get the people that we need to help you involved, we can get, whether it's the Army Corps of Engineers, whether it's the DPW, or get the right people, because I know your area is affected, but it's also Goldie Street, it's also that whole area basically between St. Mary's and your house that is affected, and you're not the only one. There are people from Goldie Street that are in touch with Councilor Patch and I all the time, and the big picture is it's all connected. So I think Councilor Rotundo, but then we will put this into Public Works, that way you can come before the Public Works Committee and we can work to get this addressed to your neighborhood. But I want to thank you for being the spokesperson really for that whole area and getting the problem at the forefront.
Again, I thank you for suspending the rules.
I just have one question.
I appreciate
Sure.
it.
Councilor Rotundo has the floor, Councilor, and then I'll open it up to you.
Okay.
So, actually, this is something that I had dealt with in 2008, and the issue is that they're not cleaning the culvert where you are. They're not cleaning the Asti Ave culvert, which goes all the way down towards Caruso. It abuts your entire area where the highway is. The grades that you're talking about is where that's supposed to go underneath.
Yes.
To Lucia, it goes underneath Lucia, and then it goes underground.
Yes.
Under the properties and ends up in back of Amelia Place where the Town Line Brook is. Now, there was a lot of problems there that Caldwell and Brown were supposed to fix, and in fact, I think, and we would have to take a look, CDM probably has the contract to clean out that culvert. The other thing is, back during the time when Tom Birmingham was the Senate President, part of the issues that we're trying to get rectified was the Town Line Brook is actually underserving the city of Revere and Malden, in particular down by Sherman Street, where they do the dumping, which is what people are talking about. So that whole area from the beginning of Holly-Davidson all the way up towards Everett, that whole particular area is a revetment area that's basically supposed to take in surges from the Pines River and Sales Creek in that area that fills back around behind the old Johnny Food Master and the cinema. What happens is if the gates don't work, it doesn't stop the surge increasing, and then it's supposed to go to the secondary area for basically containment, which is the Town Line Brook. However, because people dump stuff into it, it's all full of sediment and it's not even at half capacity. Part of it is we need to get the Army Corps of Engineers to go from the city of Everett all the way back up to the Jewish cemetery, all the way down towards the Holly-Davidson area and clean it out. Otherwise, we're just going to keep on falling into the same issue.
Rotundo, but I can assure you this. There is no State Department that is going to expend any kind of money to fix that area. I can tell you right now. If they just maintain it, we would have no problem where I live. And obviously, there'd be no problems behind St. Mary's, all downstream. But listen, I don't want to hold, I thank you so much for listening to me. You took me up. But I'm going to make sure, how do I sign up to speak? Do I go to the clerk's office?
So typically in a council meeting, you speak to items that are on the agenda. So you'd reach out to a city councilor that could bring up the issue that you'd like to speak, or you can submit a letter and a communication to the clerk's office, and a communication can be submitted to the council. But for this case, what we're going to do is put it into the Public Works Subcommittee. So it will be an item in that subcommittee. I'll have Councilor Patch work with the chairman to let you know when that subcommittee meeting is.
I appreciate that.
And then you could appear before the subcommittee. Subcommittee is something that we use in the council to really dive deeper into issues that may not be able to be solved in a 5 to 10 minute presentation before the council, so we can get all the right people involved. After it's worked on in committee, then it's voted back out to the city council, so it gives you time to work on it. So.
I thank you. So before I do go, I don't want to blind sign anybody here. My intentions are, I'm going to go a little bit further. I just want to bring you guys up to date what I'm going to do. As far as Kathy Reinstein, I spoke to Kathy Reinstein, Rosalie Vizent, she was the assistant. Now I'm going to make an appointment to speak to her offices as well, so I can get everybody on board. This is not going to be resolved by, you council, let me tell you, you're going to really, I'll be surprised if it gets resolved at this level. But I'm going to hope and pray it does. But again, being the fact where I got a real health problem, I don't want to move, I'm just trying, give it a college try and see what happens. But thank you so much.
Excuse me, I just have one question, sir.
Yes, Counselor.
Is this a trash rack here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, how often is that trash rack cleaned?
It's not. I've been taking care of that trash rack for about 5 years. But I must say, this last storm, Donnie Goodwin went by, and he seen me in the rack with my rake and my wheelbarrow. You know, so you can't do that. And I said, Donnie, I know I can't do it, but you guys are flat out. I'm saving you guys an awful lot of problems by doing it myself. It's my property. If anybody hasn't experienced a flood, it's a horror show.
I'm well aware of it.
1996, all that area down there was devastated. And I don't want to go through it again, not at my age.
We have a trash rack like this down on North Shore Road, just before you enter Oak Island. And that handles the Eastern County ditch, which runs under North Shore Road out to the tide gate. And this is cleaned by the DPW periodically. Is it our responsibility to clean that? Absolutely not. It's up to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
That's absolutely right.
But
absolutely.
if we didn't clean
sure.
it, if we didn't clean it,
sure,
that water would just remain down in the Wonderland area and Lower Revere Street and that area.
No question about it. But again, I could go on forever. I'm going to cut it right off now. Not to be rude. More kudos to the DPW. Joey was there. He come down here. He had his crew. Every 45 minutes they were coming by, making sure it wasn't blocked up. But the issue is, you cannot drive by in 45 minutes. If you get one branch on that gate, 45 minutes later, depending on the flow that's coming down, you will not free that gate because the head pressure is astronomical. But I must say, since I've been in the creek, I guess the word's getting out, get him out of there.
You shouldn't be doing it, really.
I know,
That's
I know that, I
line.
understand that. But again, I don't want to get flooded again. It's a horror show. Thank you for listening. I
Thank you
appreciate
again.
it.
This will be going to the Public Works Committee so that we can get some more answers for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Sir, do you want...
At this time, there's no further business. Does anyone else have any questions, comments, or concerns?
Careful.
Motion to adjourn. This city council will be adjourned until March 19th at 6 p.m. Thank you all and have a great evening.